Hello and welcome to today's live. Oh my gosh. Um, I have a story to share with you, and it's about my track and field meet and how does it relate to you when it comes to your business and being seen. You will see. Um, I don't know, the energy is so different now because we're finally in summer, and I'm wondering if you feel the same. So please share in the comments. However, let's get started. So today we're talking about how we say we want to be in first place and how we may unintentionally or intentionally position ourselves as less. And I'm going to tell you a story about how I did that in a track and field competition. So, this live will be for you if you're someone that knows they deserve to be seen, wants to receive attention and notoriety for their gifts, wants to be seen as an expert in your field, and you still have this unconscious program that's playing into how you react to situations where you are seen, where there are more eyes on you. Perhaps you play small, perhaps you make yourself less, perhaps you immediately say or compare yourself to someone that you perceive is more qualified than you, is more capable than you. And that may not even be true, but you're putting yourself in that position of less as a default instead of putting yourself as a position in as more, as seeing yourself as more, as picking yourself first instead of picking somebody else before you. And I did that. So, story, I ran track and field. I was a sprinter, so I did races like the 100 meter, 200 meter, 4x1, the 4x4. The 4x4 was like the hardest race. And I had made it to the league finals. So in the league finals, you run against all the top girls in all the different leagues. And from there, you go to state finals. I want to say either regional final. No, that was regional. So that was regional. So from regional, you go to state finals. And I was in the league finals, right? And yeah, I was in the league finals, and I was doing the 100-meter dash. And I had seen all the girls that I was going to be in competition with, right? And I was already positioning myself as, okay, this person's faster than me, that person's faster than me, this person's faster than me. And in my head, I was already telling myself that I was going to probably get like 6th or 7th or 8th place, right? And it was like perfect track weather. The weather was gloomy. So if you're a track and field runner, you understand that when the weather is actually cold is actually the best because it's best running conditions. So it was a cold, like gloomy day, and it's my turn to run. So I hear the announcer say that it's time for the 100-meter girls for this particular like weight class. I forget what it's called, but there's like different classes. There's like bantam, and there's actually I forget, but if you ran track and field, you know what I'm talking about. There's different like heats, and they had called my position, and it was our turn, and I'm already in my blocks, right? I'm setting myself up to go, and if you have ran track, you know that there's someone that has like some sort of hat, they have a gun, and when that gun goes off, you're supposed to go. So I'm in the blocks, the gun goes off, and it's like I go, and my reaction time is perfect. I'm not sure if you've watched Sha'Carri Richardson, but one of the things with her is that she doesn't have a good reaction time to the gun versus starting. So it's like she kind of hesitates. There was no hesitation with me. I was actually just going. And to my surprise, I was in alignment with all of the fastest girls that I had already positioned myself as less fast, as not as good, as them being more and me being less, right? I was in alignment with them. And I was like, oh shit, I'm actually just as fast as them. I'm actually just as good as them. I couldn't believe it. And when I get like I'm running and I'm watching myself with these other brilliant, like this fast girls. And then I'm like, okay, I have to do something more to stay in alignment with them. I have to do something more to stay just as fast as them. So I decide to like shift gears. And in my shifting gears, I misstep, and it causes me to actually lose my footing. And if you run track or watch track, you know that those hundredths, even milliseconds count. So in my misstep, I lose my footing, I lose my place, and I'm a few strides behind the girls that I was at one point neck and neck with. And it broke my heart, because I'm here playing catch up now instead of just running my race. And it was the race that was going to determine other races, right? Other sequences of events that would have positioned me to be seen as an even more talented runner. And so I get like 6th or 7th place, I forget, but I was not, in the top 3. I wasn't in the top 5. And the reason why I didn't get completely last, I think I got like I said, 6th or 7th place, something along those lines, is because some of the girls, I was faster than, and also one of the girls actually didn't realize where the finish line was, so she stopped ahead of the finish line, so I kept running past her and she lost. And the thing that taught me was that we will be so identified with being less that we will unintentionally fight for last position. We'll say we want top position. We say we want to be seen for our gifts. We'll say we want to receive notoriety. We'll say that we want to be seen as experts in our field. Yet when given the opportunity, the self-doubt starts to percolate. The tension in our chest starts to arise. The heaviness in our shoulders starts to feel even more heavy. Our stomach starts to have knots. And then all of a sudden, what felt like a good idea, what felt like an amazing opportunity, starts to feel like it's pulling teeth. And my positioning myself as less taught me something extremely valuable. And it was that if I am so identified with being less, if I'm so identified with playing small, then when presented with the opposite, which is to play big, to be seen as more, my identity will fight for last position because it feels safe in being less. And that's what many of us do, especially in the online space. We'll start getting glimpses of success. We'll start seeing ourselves having some momentum. We'll start seeing that people are starting to gravitate toward us. And then our identity won't feel safe being seen as more, and we will fight for last position. So if you notice yourself unintentionally, perhaps it is unintentional, perhaps it is unconscious, that you're fighting for last position, ask yourself if your identity has been so indoctrinated to being seen as less that it's fighting to be last instead of allowing itself to be first. And going a little bit deeper, ask yourself if perhaps your ego wants to prove itself right that you deserve to be seen as not enough. Now, let's break that down. Let's unpack that. Why would your ego ever want you to prove yourself right that you deserve to be seen as less? Well, the ego loves to be right. And you can use that to your advantage, or you can use that to your disadvantage. Because if you want to prove yourself right, you can give your ego, you can give yourself evidence as to why you deserve to be top position. But if you keep on replaying in your head how you deserve to be seen as less, how you don't belong in certain spaces, how you don't deserve to have a seat at the table, how you aren't enough compared to your competition, just like I did, you will automatically want to prove yourself right. Your ego will say, hold on, let's make sure that we are correct in not being enough. And I'm going to fight for last position just so I can prove to myself that I'm correct, that I wasn't enough in the first place, that I couldn't do it in the first place. So that's why when you're telling yourself, things like, okay, who am I to do this? Do I belong here? And you're telling yourself, no, I don't belong here. Those are dangerous words to tell yourself because your ego will find ways to prove itself right. It's something called confirmation bias, where your brain will say, let me find in my environment, let me find in this situation, let me find in this circumstance, let me find in this relationship why I am not enough, why I am less, why I deserve to be seen as less, why other people are more and I am small. So, how do you start positioning your ego to be seen as more? Number one, you have to be aware of the ego's perspectives, because in any relationship, in any situationship, it's creating multiple perspectives. It's saying, okay, from your perspective, I am seen as less than this particular person, this particular situation, this particular relationship. And it's automatically creating a perception of the person being more. So there's two perceptions. And you have to be aware of how you're allowing yourself to play in the perception of being less and how you're allowing that dynamic to play out. And then once you're aware of how you're creating your own reality in that way, and this, I want to be very careful to say that this doesn't mean that other people don't have free will to tell you that that whatever it is that they're judging you about is correct in their eyes. Like, you have no power over other people's perception of you. I'm saying how you are perceiving yourself and how you are automatically positioning yourself as less, and how that creates a dynamic where you're then allowing yourself to be less in relationships and situationships. Okay. Now, instead of allowing your ego to be right about you being less, give your ego evidence to be right about you being seen as more. How many times have you, allowing yourself to be seen as more, allowed you to actually be seen as more and be in first place and allow yourself to feel safe in first place? What has that ever done for you in your life? How has that created some sort of success? How has that created some sort of result that is tangible that you can ground yourself into as already being available to you now? Ask yourself those questions, because your ego loves to be proven right. So give it evidence to prove itself right. And then your brain's confirmation bias will start to say, okay, let me scan the environment to get some feedback to prove this narrative that I'm replaying in my head, that I deserve to be seen, that I deserve to be positioned as more, that I deserve to be seen as an expert in my field, that I deserve to be first place. What evidence can I find in my environment that gives me that positive feedback that says that I am correct? Because the more you tell yourself, I don't belong here, the more your ego will find ways to prove that you don't belong here. But the more you tell yourself that I deserve to be in first place, the more your ego will tell you and find ways for you to be seen as first place. So you have to use your ego as a vehicle to get what you want, and not as a vehicle for you to stay where you are. Unless where you are is where you want to be. And I'm talking to the people who continue to want to evolve, that continue to want to create more expansion in their lives, that aren't complacent with where they are, that know that as they continue to do the involution and do the healing and do the inner work, that it will radiate out into their environment and into the people that they're meant to serve, and allowing them to create that magnetic presence that allows them to attract more of those type of people that you're meant to serve. I'm talking to those people, not the complacents, the people that are convicted in their beliefs, in their knowing, that they deserve to be seen in the spotlight for their gifts and create bigger impact. So, key takeaways: using your ego as a vehicle for getting what you want, proving itself right in the ways you want to be correct, not in the ways you don't want to be correct. Number one. Number two, asking yourself how you are automatically making your default pattern to be seen as less, to position yourself as less, how you are unintentionally fighting for first place. And last point, when you start making those changes, when you start saying, okay, I deserve to be seen as more, when you start positioning yourself as more, there's going to be this unconscious battle. It may even feel palpable for you if you're a vibrationally sensitive being, where you and your old self are fighting for a place to exist. And I don't, in the spiritual community, you'll hear about how you have to kill the old self, and you also hear how you have to kill the ego. I don't feel like you should have to unalive any part of yourself in order for you to ascend. I feel like you have to understand that there's parts of you that have to evolve, and you have to also thank those parts of you that got you to where you are, because without those parts of you getting through all that murkiness, like, where would you be? Why do you have to unalive yourself? Why does it have to be so morbid? Why can't it just be you evolving past certain habits and beliefs and idiosyncrasies that no longer serve you? Like, why does it have to be so so just this or that? Either way, I don't feel like you have to unalive a part of yourself. I feel like you just have to understand that there's parts of you that can no longer come with where you're meant to go. And to thank those parts of you for getting you where you are. And to acknowledge that those parts of you are going to fight for their place to survive. One of the things Deepak Chopra says in his book, he has a part in the book Shadow Effect with Marianne Williamson. He says that your emotions are entities that deserve a place to exist. So give them the platform to exist and to be heard, so they no longer have unconscious control of you. And I feel like that also applies to the old self. Give that part of you a place to be seen, a place to be heard, because that part of you is only there because it's keeping you safe from something that it perceives as dangerous. Perhaps you being seen as first place also means that you feel like with more eyes on you, it increases your chances of people wanting to attack you for some reason. Perhaps when you have gotten attention before in some area of your life, it meant that there was more haterade that was thrown your way, and perhaps that made you feel uncomfortable. So you putting yourself in first place now is just you making yourself in a position where you feel under attack, and you're keeping yourself safe from that feeling. So your old self is only serving its part in keeping you safe from perceived danger. So that means your survival programs and your operating system is simply doing its job. You just have to have some sort of tripwire with you where you change your relationship with safety and being seen in higher platforms. So another key takeaway: you don't have to unalive yourself. You don't have to kill the old self. Perhaps you just have to make peace and give thanks for that part of you that got you where you are. And when you do that, you'll start shifting your inner narrative from do I belong here to absolutely I belong here. I deserve to be seen. I deserve to be seen for my gifts. There are people that need what I have right now, and they just need to know that I exist. You'll start saying those types of things to yourself, and you'll start seeing that replay in your head, because again, your brain's confirmation bias, which means that it's the part of your brain that will literally scan your environment to reinforce thought patterns and belief systems that you already have replaying in your head to confirm that they are correct. Your brain, your ego, they just love to be right. So give them the nourishment and the thoughts and the emotions that prove that they are right. And when you do that repeatedly, you'll start to remove the mulch and the murkiness, and you'll start to create a magnetic presence where you automatically start attracting more opportunities to be seen, because your brain will start scanning for ways for it to be seen because you keep telling it that you deserve to be seen. Amazing how that works. You'll create that magnetic presence where you no longer radiate self-doubt and second guessing and questioning if what you have to say anybody wants to hear. You'll no longer dilute your message and waste time on writing that post for like 2 to 3 hours because you're wondering and second guessing about every other word. And you'll say, okay, I'm going to hit the post button because I know that even my imperfections need to be seen by the person that's on the same journey as me in some way or form. And I'm a few steps ahead, and they need to see me show up. I had a thought, and it was about to come. Oh, here it is. I remember watching my mentor like go through so many things for years before I actually worked with her. And it was because I saw her journey that I was inspired to one day work with her. And that's who you'll be for somebody. You'll be that person who took the journey and showed and left a footprint and showed someone how to walk them. And that's who you need to be right now. So, if you're someone that wants to feel safe being seen, you want to overcome your fears of being seen, you're ready to stop wasting time from hopping from strategy to strategy, wondering which secret sauce will finally be the way to make your recipe stand out, and you're actually going to say, okay, I'm going to hone in on one strategy, I'm going to work on my energy, I'm going to get through all of this past narratives and perhaps even unfortunate circumstances that keep replaying in your head that cause you to hide. If you're ready to be seen as someone that makes an impact, that sets their foot on bigger stages and allows themselves to spread their message without making themselves feel bad for people that don't agree with them, or making themselves feel small for people that don't agree with them. If you're ready to create that magnetic presence that makes you shift from invisible to irresistible to your soulmate clients and to soul aligned opportunities, where you start to get those email notifications and DMs from silent lurkers that are finally ready to work with you, then reach out to work with me one-on-one so we can start shifting your energetic blueprint. It's time for you to become magnetic, and it's time for you to stop wasting time while you're sitting at dinner with your family wondering why it's not working the way that you'd like it to work, or why it's not moving as fast as you'd like it to move, because you're not meant to move at a snail's pace. You're meant to move at light speed towards your goals. So reach out to work with me one-on-one.